This episode of the Barclay Street podcast is presented by the Victorian Responsible Gambling Foundation, a proud partner of the Bulldogs. Join us in helping kids understand the importance of loving the game, not the odds. For tips on talking to your kids about the risks of sports betting, visit lovethegame.vic.gov.au. Hello and welcome to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street Finals Edition. We've made it, albeit limped in, but we have made it. Congratulations, Easternwood. The Dogs have finished fifth. Let's focus on the positive. Let's walk on the sunny side of the street. You're still gorgeous. The Dogs are in the finals. We play the Bombers in a final for the first time since 1953, I'm told, which is unbelievable. How are you? Where are you, and where will you be in the next few days?
Going well, thanks, Bobo. Another impressive intro. Getting growing more and more legs as we go. Never sure which way you're going to go, but no, well done, well done.
If your Dogs make it to the grand final, I'm aiming for the intro to go so long that it ends up being straight into an outro, and that's the
and that's it. That's all we have time for on Barclay Street. Thanks for joining us.
And that's a wrap.
Oh God. No, look,
how's the week been?
Yeah, as always
it's been a pretty dramatic week, but yeah. Better signs against Port Adelaide, but ultimately a bit of a heartbreaking loss, mate. What did you make of what's the wash-up been from the last home and away game of the year?
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking one, mate. As you said, there was some great signs. We're really pleased with some of our desperation to defend, and we had the game looking how we wanted to around the ball and across the rest of the ground for large parts of the game. But unfortunately, we fell away in a couple of key areas. A couple of our ability to defend contests wasn't at the level it needed to be, and some of our ball use and our ability to retain it wasn't at its best either. So we've had a really good look. Obviously, it was super disappointing after the game. It was a strange feeling, to be honest, Bobo. I think it's our highest finish with Bevo, but to be perfectly honest, it almost felt like after the game that we'd missed the finals. It was a strange feeling. And it didn't go down so well. But we've had to internalise and get a hold of that, but also at the same time realise that we're in a good position to launch a finals campaign still and bloody go after it. So. You and I both know how hard finals campaigns are and how limited the opportunities are. So I'm bloody excited to be a part of another one, and really excited about what this team can do.
In terms of the coach, so the birthday boy, he had a birthday during the week.
Shout out.
The many different shades of beverage. Which one's been most sort of on show this week? Has it been a fierce shade of beverage? Has it been a whimsical, poetic? Has it been a...
No, it certainly hasn't been fierce. He definitely doesn't go fierce very often at all. They're few and far between. What sort of shade would I say it had been? I'd say a realistic shade, but a buoyant shade as well in terms of what's ahead of us, which has been good. We're focusing on what's in front, and we're just going to try and be in the moment, go after win 16, and we've got to win 4 more.
Yeah. So what's the logistics of this week? So you're currently at the kennel.
Well, could always change, Toes, as you know. Who knows? But
right now.
Right now we're at the kennel and we're leaving Saturday afternoon after training, and we've been told that we will return once the finals campaign is finished. So that changed. On Monday night we got a message saying that we were leaving on Thursday, not to return until the finalisation of the final series. And that's just what we've got to do to go the whole way. I mean, it was pretty, to be perfectly honest, it was hard on our family at home. It was Monday wasn't a nice night. My wife at home with 2 kids under 2 in lockdown with playgrounds shut. It's hard enough to keep the kids entertained and trying to do something different each day with the 2 of us there. So that was a challenge, but that's what it is. and that's just what we'll have to deal with. And lots of times in your career as well as mine, you have to make sacrifices to have an opportunity at the ultimate, and that's just what we'll do this time.
Yeah, I've found I've been receiving a lot of messages during the week that what's been getting a lot of kids under 2 through lockdown has been watching old episodes of the Fox Footy Show Bob. There's about 16 episodes all up and hours of fun, not just for the kids.
Are they still on TV, are they? How do you access those?
I believe they're... I don't believe they're on TV. You might have
They're on Netflix? Are they big enough for Netflix?
You may have to go into eBay to buy pirated Balinese.
You'll have to go around to Bob's place and go onto his Foxtel IQ and just watch the recorded ones that he's got set up there. So that's an option.
They're all there.
I mean, it's a pretty decent COVID breach, but helps get the numbers up.
If you're going to get done for a breach, why not go down with 16 episodes of the Boned TV show?
What happened to that show, Bobo? What happened to that show? 16 episodes? What happened to the show, mate? What happened?
Our showbiz is pretty cutthroat. You reckon footy's cutthroat? Showbiz, the old delistings are pretty swift. Just a few of the old KPIs, quite up to scratch.
Okay.
So you played the Bombers, a few weeks ago. I'm not sure how the coaching staff have attacked it, but is that something you'll revisit, do you think, in terms of, looking at footage, or will it more just be, more sort of broad brushstrokes of plans and this is what happened and individuals?
Now, a little from column A, a little from column B there, Bobo. Because it's so recent, It'd be silly not to go back and have a look at what transpired and how they got the better of us on that day. They're a very good centre bounce team, and they really got a hold of us in centre bounce. I believe they kicked 6 goals in there on the day, which is a huge return and probably the most we've given up for possibly the year. But look, they've got some great talent in there, and that's obviously something we'll need to combat, and that's what our mids are primed and ready to go and do. And obviously, my deep dive analysis. You're good on the analysis. What do you got for us? And normally it's just a bit of quip here and back in my day, I just would have, rolled on the left and hit it.
I don't want to ostracise a lot of our audience with the football sophistication, technology, and jargon here.
Sounds like you're about to alienate the rest of our audience here with some football jargon.
Peter Wright kicked 7 goals. Can we not have that happen again?
That definitely would have come up. Yep, that's on there. That's a dot point, Bobo.
Would you mind pulling your finger out and getting across for a bit of a spoil occasionally on Peter
As we
Wright?
know, we spread the defence, Bobo. It's no one's one job. We spread the load, mate. As I was doing half your job.
Playing in Tassie though, in front of a packed crowd. How are you feeling about playing down in Tassie in front of a ferocious packed audience?
I'm just excited to be playing finals, mate, and to have a crowd is really special, particularly in what we've been dealing with at the moment. So. To get down and hear some cheers and have that spirit of the game, really present and a part of it. I mean, some of my best memories in footy are from the swells of momentum within game and the crowd's roar and their crescendo and their eventual applause is always been special in moments. So pretty bloody pumped to be out in front of that again, Bob.
It's that time of year, Easton, where the awards ceremonies start to roll out, and we'll have the Brownlow in a few weeks and the All-Australian team named and all of that, but we do need to stop and pause and acknowledge a couple of our own,
absolutely,
starting with the AFLW coach Nathan Burke, who was inducted into the Australian Football Hall of Fame, which is just, arguably the highest honour in the game. Nathan, has been a lifetime in football, champion of the St Kilda Football Club, and the coach of our AFLW team. So
used to love watching him play as a kid too.
Well received.
Used to love watching him play as a kid. The helmet always just really stood out. And always hitting up iconic. Stewie Lowe, big buckets. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and but of course Debbie Lee, who made history, and one of the more inspiring stories you'll hear, not just this year but in any year, of of being the first woman inducted into the Australian Football Hall of Fame. She's been heavily involved setting up our women's football team, an incredible footballer in her own right, and standing and a symbol for so much more than that of the struggle, really, and to get women's football recognised on the map. It's hard enough these days winning people over. Can't imagine how hard it would have been back in the early days. So I just think, as a football club and as the podcast of that football club, we should tip our hat to Debbie Lee. She's one of my heroines, and an absolute champion of a person, tough as they come, fierce, but a heart the size of Footscray. So well done to Debbie.
Yeah, well done, Debbie. What an achievement.
Yeah, huge. And the All-Australian 40, commiserations. I know you had your heart set on it.
Snubbed.
You came home with a bit of a wet sail, bit stiff to miss out on the 40. You were in my top 600. Couldn't quite squeeze you into the 40.
Move it on, Bobo. Move it on. Let's get to where we're actually going. Not every segment is an opportunity to whack your co-host. This is why you're churning through the hosts, mate.
There's only so much.
There's only so much abuse one can be put up with. I might have a chat. Look, I'm upstairs at the moment in the football department. I might walk to HR after this and just lodge a formal complaint. We've got the footage.
I haven't seen the ratings for a while. I don't know the figures. I don't even know if anyone's listening to Barclay Street anymore. But what I do know is that whoever is left, this is what they want. They want us, you and I, ripping into each other. They don't want any back scratching or back patting. They want venomous, real barbs. That's what they want, and that's what they're going to get. But the three boys who are in the 40, so we got Jacko McRae, who's just a lock for the 40 these days. He just
automatic, isn't it?
He does. He just gets picked. The Prince, Marcus Bontempelli, he'll be a lock for the 22, no doubt. And a newcomer, Bailey Dale, halfback flanker, one of our boys.
Yeah, one of the club. Brethren.
What did you make of that? And was there anyone you were surprised to see miss out of in the red, white, and blue?
Well, first of all, yeah, well done to Bonty and Jacko. They just continue to play at such a consistently high level, and it's been, I reckon, even Bonty's gone to another level this year, which has been phenomenal to see. And Bailey, what a season from someone who was trying to find their feet again as a forward throughout the pre-season. He had some really big impact, I think, in the forward line through 2019 towards the back end. He kicked a bag of five a couple times and seemed to really kind of announce himself. And he's been one of the players that I've played with, and the talent has always been there. And he's one of the guys within the club who, no matter what sport it is, he picks it up and he's frustratingly and irritatingly brilliant at it. So whether that's table tennis, golf, he's a smooth hitter.
The first time I saw him pick up a cricket bat, I was like,
cricket as well. Yeah, he looks.
When someone just holds a bat, their stance.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh, you're very good at cricket.
And he was one of those
the exact opposite of Brad Johnson. You ever seen Brad hold a cricket bat? I couldn't.
No, I missed it.
I couldn't look. It was like, oh no, Brad.
Can't see someone that great do something like that.
One of the
Stop.
Greats. Put it down. And walk away, Brad.
Yeah.
Not for you.
About enough. But no, Bailey. But he always had that talent on the footy field too. He's a beautiful kick. And it just seemed that it always felt like he was just waiting for either for something to click, and we didn't realise that was going to be the position, playing at half back, and was really surprised to be thrown there. I think it was in the pre-season game versus Melbourne before our round one game. And he's just gone from strength to strength for never playing the position and go straight into the All-Australian 40. And really, he should be in the 22. The way that his season's gone is just an incredible achievement.
And I say this without being, I'm doing my best here, and I think I've got a pretty clear view on not being biased. I think all three will be in the 22.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised for them not to be.
Yeah, Jacko might have a bit more of a fight on his hands than the other two, but I think all three will find their way into the All-Australian 22, which is a good achievement. Yeah. And I think we've got a few nominations for the 22 under 22 as well. I think they made the cut as well. I think
Naughty and Bailey Smith.
And Bailey, yep.
Yeah, been great. I
so,
think Naughty was stiff to miss out that on his first year. He was just talking to me in the shower saying that he would have been a chance for 5 in a row. Do the Bonte. Managed the 22 under 22 five times.
Did he not make it in his first year?
No. He did say he was up against some stiff competition in Wiedering and Harris Andrews, but he thought he might have snuck in. I think he finished 4th in our best and fairest that year.
I was going to say, he finished 4th in the club best and fairest.
Yeah, probably worthy. But anyway.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting.
It's been pretty good since.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break soon, and we've finally done it. We have finally done it. This is our...
Get ready, listeners. Get ready.
Our Champs-Élysées. This is get your flute of champagne ready, because we are about to deliver you on a platter the great Archie Salek. He, the master of the nickname, is going to join us on Barclay Street for a one-off special. But can I just, before we do that, just direct people to the Western Bulldogs website to vote for their best finals goal. So we love a list on this podcast, but get yourself to westernbulldogs.com.au and put your votes in for the best finals goal.
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Ewood v Hawthorn, semi-final, 16. None of the forwards could kick straight, and I had the ice in the veins just to go back and show them how it was done. So if anyone was thinking that was in their top, it's certainly in mine. So feel free to chuck your votes in.
I haven't seen the list yet, but I'm assuming 2008 first semi against Sydney. I don't want to go into the detail, but Craig Bevan, he knows what I'm talking about. A little bit of shimmy.
Craig
I'm
Bevan?
not going that way. Uh-oh, Craig. No. Golski. So we'll come after this with the great Archie Salek.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street. And look, Easton, we've had some big names on this show. We've had celebrities, we've had comedians, we've had people who've made their names in other field. We've had superstars, we've had all Australians, we've had all of that. Do you know what?
Haven't had this.
They all pale in comparison on Barclay Street. Our spirit animal, our icon, our Barclay Street god is none other than Andrew Archie Salek. We promised you, listeners, that we would deliver him. We have brought him to you today. He's number something or other for the old Melburnians, but he's number one in your hearts. He's Andrew Archie Salek. Archie, welcome to Barclay Street, my friend.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. What a great honour. I was going to say everything that you said regarding myself, but you've said it, so I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
We know we're eventually going to get to nicknames of players, because that has been
the bread and butter,
your signature move, and
it's really been doing the heavy lifting of the podcast. If we're honest, Bob, really
has been the only
certainly not me. And you have your moments, but
apart from when I slap Easton with the odd verbal barb,
he gets it a bit.
This has been the most popular thing we've done on the show. It's really kept us afloat in these, what could be described as grim times we're living through these days. So thank you already, just in advance for that. But can you, before we get to that, before we get to the golden eggs that you have laid for us, can you take us back to the start, just to give the Barclay Street audience some context around your history with the club and how long you've been here, and how did you get involved?
Well, thank you very much for that lovely introduction, Robert. My journey began on the east side of town, not the west side of town, but we have some very notable, prominent Footscray loyal TLC, as I call it, not tenderly loving care, but totally loyal to the cause. Supporters and ones that love the Western Bulldogs. And my journey, because I lived and grew up in South Yarra and Paran, was sort of the Junction Oval, and I got to love all the players down there at Fitzroy, believe it or not, at the start. And that's how the nicknames came around, because down there at that time there was the Mickey Conlins, who they used to call the Tank, the Super Boots, etc., and of course Flea, Gary Wilson. So that was my sort of banter that I got to go with, and I grew up as a small boy regarding that. And of course my career was through my school, through the Melburnians Football Club, and I'm one of the longest-serving players down in the Ammos. And of course, as we know,
so you're obviously from the school of hard knocks there, Arch.
Very hard,
Grew up in South Yarra, old Melbourne.
Yes, don't yell at me or I'll break down in tears.
Yeah.
So, so that began and my career, and I sort of realised I wasn't going that far, that I used to even bring my own bench out of the car and put that on the oval and on the ground, and so I could sit on it for 3/4 and 25 minutes before I came on. I was so furious one day, around down at the Cordner Oval. I hadn't come on for 4/4 and 20 minutes. I had the ball in my hand and I was going up and down, really letting out some steam, and I kicked the ball so high. Actually, it got caught in the fig tree and never came down. And I think it's still there, to be honest. So that's my career. And then, of course, I realised I'd played just on 250 games down at the Melburnians.
Was there a
bit of a story to this?
250th game?
Well,
there
through
is,
game 250.
For all those followers of the podcast, they'd realise they would have gone to Cult Heroes, made back in 2016, which is just a legendary one, and I got a lot of phone calls from that. Can't tell you, I can't remember, to be honest. So my banner, and I was very excited, and a lot of people have heard this over again, but I was very excited for the banner, and everybody had lined the Junction Oval in a guard of honour for me, and I had my head down, I had the oil on like Mickey Conlon, and et cetera, and I ran, and everybody was laughing, and I couldn't work out why. So I've looked up, and there was the banner, and my life had actually been shattered because I'd only played 249 games, of course, and there the banner read, "Congratulations, Archie, on 250 shit games of football." So I realised it was only 249. I might just at least get one in, but unfortunately that was a shit game as well. So the banner was quite correct. The banner was quite correct. So, and then just after that, my career came to a huge. And they called me after that the Hamburger Kid, because I played down at the junction, down at Elsternwick Park, and of course. My career came to an end, unfortunately, because I was in the back pocket and coming off there, and I realised as I went to kick, I got a sharp jolt, and I'd actually done an ACL, and I yelled out to everybody, "I've done the lot." So doing the lot, they called me from then on the Hamburger Kid. So that was very unfortunate.
Who needs enemies when you've got friends like that?
Well, that's exactly right. So being a life member of the Melburnians, I'm very proud also to have received my life membership at the Western Bulldogs, and my two great names, Guy Nelson and a bloke called James Nixon, who have been very part of my journey throughout the Melburnians, who are great friends. They support me. So, but my now that we've moved to Elsternwick Park, of course, where the great Luke Beveridge, of course, coached his 3 premierships from, is now the home of the Melburnians. So I still have TLC there, totally loyal to the cause. Tell me to shut up.
You've always had a wonderful story, Arch, and you're a wonderful storyteller.
Thank you.
Is it true that Simon Beasley got you down to the Bulldogs back in the 80s? And is it also true that at various times you would join in the actual football training?
Yes, that's true. So I used to actually, my first introduction was down at the Skinner and also down at the Barlow Oval.
What year, Arch?
That was back in the 80s when Simon was playing, and he was a super player, and he's a fantastic bloke, and I've never seen somebody so excited after we won the preliminary final up in GWS, and I met him in a cafe in South Yarra that day, and he was wearing his jumper. He's been a terrific player, and he's a terrific bloke, and he is really loyal to the cause, and I want to thank him. And I gave him a mention on the old World of Sport, which I did for a year.
Your presenter?
Yep. I was the presenter for the Ammos. So, and I mentioned about him and his engagement party to the lovely Mary. So, yes, now I've lost my train of thought there.
So you're coming down here and you're
correct.
Joining in training.
And I realised reality was real when Terry Wheeler asked me to line up because we were short on Stuart Wigney, and I kept nudging him in the L because I was playing on the back and he was playing centre half forward, and I kept digging him in the ribs as all good backs should do. And Stuart looked at me and he said, "Arch," he said, "you do that once more, mate. You do that once more, I'm going to knock you right out." So I thought, I never got a kick from then on, and I never played. But I used to join in training and enjoyed that, and that was a long time ago.
The sort of mythology around you, Arch, and I've known you for my entire time at the Bulldogs. You were there when I arrived. You were there when I left. You're still there now.
And the aftershave I brought out to you.
Refer to you as the Bulldogs, the cockroach of the Bulldogs, that you will outlast all of us. But was there one skill session where your kicking let you down and you were sent off to run laps by one of the coaches?
Well, that's Simon Beasley's story by Mick Malthouse. That wasn't quite right. I actually went to grab the ball and the ball went straight through my hands. I was that nervous. That was down at the Skinner with Mick Malthouse coaching. But I lived out Mick Malthouse and I lived out the great Terry Wheeler. Terry Wheeler had great. I've seen some fantastic coaches over the journey. Yeah. Terry Wheeler was fantastic, and he was great. He'd get the spirit up. I would say, and of course, none other than our present coach, Luke, who's just. And we have a bit of synergy because of amateurs and what have you. And he always says, "Kick it right to you," and that's what I say sometimes to the players. I'm kicking it right to you, and it goes straight to them, of course. And
not obviously always, and I suppose
not
that's
always. No, okay, we'll put a bit of mayo on that. Put a bit of mayo on that. So that's my little story, and of course, being part of it, I'm always remembered for the highlight. I was in the coach's box, and
highlight by
intent,
name,
and I think Bubba turned around and said, "Arch, I think he's just been caught on camera. He's just put the highlight in his mouth," and I was like, "Friggin' hell, what the."
If we have to get that footage, it is one of the single greatest moments of footage ever.
So from then on, I got off the bus once, and the bus driver said, "You're the highlight of my life, mate." So I got a bit of that everywhere, and even on Sportsbet, a week after, you wouldn't believe it, but the pair of binoculars was paying 250 to 1 for Arch to put a pair of binoculars in his mouth. So that was on Sportsbet. You couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it. So,
Arch, can I just? So we're going to get to the nicknames in a second. I'm going to ask you for your dozen, and Easton's going to run through. Your favourite dozen.
Dozen or half a dozen?
Crop. But before that, the Bulldog, this current crop of Bulldogs, the let's call them the Luke Beveridge Bulldogs. So from 2015, have been famous for the quick hands, sharpest handballers in the land. But I feel like your influence has been undervalued because you have mastered the no-look handball.
He was actually exclaiming his influence on us at training just as early as this morning with his quick flick away. Can we get a demo?
Well, I appreciate that. It's called probably the look early, look late. Look early and do the look late.
Look away?
And it's called the look away. So. I can't give out too many other secrets that we have in the inner sanctum at the Bulldogs, but the quick hands.
Company man.
Yes, I'll get the second one. Thank you, I appreciate that. And of course, I remember Bobby bringing out to you the aftershave, if you remember, which I'm well noted for. Right. When you did your first ACL.
That's right, yeah, because I would always compliment you on how he smelt nice, every day, always. Lovely bit of sandalwood, very. He's a man's man, Arch.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
In the classic sort of Alec Baldwin sort of style where men were finely dressed and they smelt of sandalwood. And
our man love goes back to the day that I always thought you used to float on the ground and just float from one position to another, and just you're a beautiful player, and I always have and always will look up to you, Robert, is one of the great Western Bulldogs players of our time.
Well, that's a lovely thing to say, Arch. It's a different tone than I was sort of going for on this podcast. But while we're here,
it's a very foreign tone on this podcast. Let's make
very
that
dear
stated,
friend, Easton. Shut up, Easton. Archie and I are having a moment. You can just shut right up, Easton.
That's what we're used to. Yeah, we're back.
Look, I love it. I love it. The two captains going together, it's fantastic. But
I love Archie. He's a strong Bulldogs man with a big heart, and I love you for it, Arch.
I want you to know that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it's as I say, it's TLC, and the club is never been stronger at a better time than what it is. And
Oh, right. Well, that feels like a bit of a jab now, Arch. It's.
Oh, well, unintentional, but it is.
It is. No, it is. No, it is.
Oh, so
we're strong.
Better now, is it, Arch?
Well,
better now.
That's what he said.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not stepping away from it.
I
No.
see how it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Well, how's get stuff
Murphy out.
sound, Arch? How's it? All those nice things I just said, just shove it right up ya.
Right up.
Without further ado,
let's get to where we
Cut
want to
to the
get to.
chase.
Let's cut to the chase, as
cut
they say.
to the chase.
Stole my words,
Give us
Arch.
some nicknames.
Well,
Give us
as
your
I
top
say,
six. Can we get a top six? And then we're going with current or all time?
Well, I'll Brad Johnson brought up something who you had not. As I say, it's not about me. It's all about me. But
First
Brad
of all,
Johnson,
thanks for listening. It's great that you're listening.
Of course.
I don't know if you're
course.
listening before we started the segment, but it's great to have you since.
I was outside. You were bagging me. But it's okay. So, yeah. Well, Brad brought up something which I can't. And of course, I'd give him a scotch and cake every time he kicked the goal. That was the sort of rolling thing every time he kicked a goal. But there's the Adam Treloar, of course. I call Evie because of Evie. Well, Adam and Eve. That's a corny one.
How did he take it? Does he enjoy it?
He turned around. He said he liked it.
Yep. What about the 100th time?
I wasn't quite sure about that. I think it was a bit worse for wear. Of course, I originally named Josh Dunkley number 20. He was 20, so I still call him 20.
Not your most creative.
No, I know, but you can't get it right.
Do you call him
all the
5
time.
now?
Certainly not. No, I wore number 20 at the jumper. That's why I played my 250 shit games. So I call him 20. So there's two 20s, of course.
Yep.
Josh,
Makes sense.
and of course, Josh Shackey. I call him the House, of course. Shack, House. Like that one. Who else have I got? I've got, of course, Cody Waitman. Of course, I password. He said passcode, but I call him password. Cody. So I call him that. Obviously, Mitch Hannon. I call him WA Mines because because there's Hannon Mines in WA. So
it's one of the more obscure references.
One of the obscure
it takes a bit of
references,
explaining,
yes.
but once it's there,
Will Hayes, of
layers.
course.
Yep.
Will Hayes, of course. I of course call him racehorse. Something original. Timmy English, I call Frenchie. Bailey Dale, I call Aspendale. Because obviously he grew up in Aspendale. So Cords I call Belt. And they're not all names. Hayden Crozier, I just have a sound effect. Now, why do I do that? Because he's always flying
great question.
so high that he needs oxygen. So I go... So that's my... that's a few.
variation.
That's a few. Louis Butler, I met him once at Hawkers Hall in Chapel Street, so I call him Double H, Hawkers Hall. So that's my little nickname.
That's all it takes.
And Brucey, Josh Bruce, I call Bootsy. So he hasn't actually got a nickname, but I call him Bootsy. And of course, Western, as known as we know, the great Eastern Wood.
Yep.
From day dot.
And Jordan Sweet, of course, I call him Menu 41 because usually when you're looking down on a menu, you see the sweets around about menu number 40. So he's number 41. So he's called Menu 41. So, Lynn John, I call 46. I used to ask Lynn when he was here, and he's very knowledgeable in his American history. I say, how many presidents, Lynn, have there been in the United States? It'd come up automatically. 46. Correct. So that's how he's called 46. So there's a few.
Did that still stand? There's been a couple.
Sure,
there's been a couple since, hasn't there?
There's been 46.
It was right for a time.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It still is.
It could, not when he started. He started 10 years ago.
Well, no. Well, he was, all right. Well, I've just recently introduced it. Don't ruin the gag. Put the mayo on it, will you? Yes. Is it time?
I wish this could go on forever. I've got a feeling that this is only part one.
Well, we're going to have to. We'd love to get you.
Robert,
we'd love to get you.
I'll come on to SEN if you want me to.
It's there.
Well,
it's an option.
Oh, you've had second thoughts about that.
No. Don't worry. We're always looking for content. We'll put all sorts of stuff on that
you're beautiful. You're a beautiful man.
But Archie, I'd love to say it's been lovely to have you. But football clubs are special places, and I believe they're special places because of the special people within them. And it's been a real privilege of mine from day dot to have you and be as consistent as you have been and give up your time And when I think about the club as how special it is and what makes it a special place, I often think of you and what you give up and the energy you bring to the group. Is really special, and I've got some wonderful memories. The nicknames are incredible, but your dedication is unparalleled. So thank you for all you do, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
on.
What a beautiful thank you. That lovely, and I appreciate both of you having me on this, and I really love it very much, and I love the club, and that's what I've always said. TLC, totally loyal to the cause, which we all are at the Western Bulldogs, and we always will be, whatever happens over the journey.
I've got nothing to add to that. It's you both speak wonderfully. Arch, footy clubs are about people. You're one of our very best. It's also about winning games of footy. Easton, we'll leave that with you. Down in Tassie, Bulldogs supporters, the clan, we need to gather. Red, white and blue, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Let's have a swing at it and see what can happen. You never know what can happen. You never know your luck.
In a big city.
In the big old town of AFL footy. So good luck, everyone, and be kind to one another.
Thank you.